Hey everybody, it's Tara McCullum here with Beyond This Reality Incorporated, and I am coming to you with the question series, online questions that people have sent in for me to answer. How exciting is that? And what I do is I'm an artist and also a self-development coach, and I use intuitive body processes as well as essential oils and intuitive coaching in order to help people unravel their lives from negative patterns, like whether they're mental or emotional patterns, in order to emerge into a dynamically fulfilling life with deep connections with other people in their relationships, as well as productive and creative life. So today I'm kind of coming to you to talk about something about energy and the way that we show up in the world. And it's really in response to almost all the questions. Like, people are asking how to not absorb other people's energy, how to not be taken out, and all this. And so I wanted to talk about how you actually show up wherever you go, and to take a really good look at how you're showing up, because how you're showing up is going to determine what comes at you. So there's a lot of schools of thought out there that talk about showing up protected, right? So whether you put a white light over you, a yellow light, a golden light, put your defenses up and make sure you're protected, whatever it is. I want to talk to you about how that appears and how that shows up, okay? So in my interesting point of view, or my experience really, I'll just talk that, is when someone shows up who is protected, and their language is, everywhere I go, people are draining me. Everywhere I go, there's people who are just negative and take me out. I don't enjoy being around them because they're actually attracting that. And in me, like I actually want to be, like, it invokes in me negative, right? And so instead, I open myself up and move out of the space of judgment of how they're choosing to show up. And I be an open space. And so when I then encounter somebody who's really open, who's willing for people to show up however they show up, and they're the brilliance of them without feeling like somebody could actually drain them. Because if we look at what our belief patterns are, if we're actually infinite beings, if you actually believe that, how does somebody drain you unless you're actually contracting in their space, which is your choice. It's your choice to go into contraction and that. So let's say person B is in the fullness of themselves. They walk into a room and the room is really aware of their brilliance, right? Like that painting back there. They're aware of their brilliance. I'm sure the person doesn't walk in like this, but they emanate this. Everyone is going to be drawn to them. There is going to be an almost energetic pull from them, which if they were to be conscious of it, they could say, oh my gosh, awesome is that, because I'm fully full of myself and source. So anything that you're pulling from me is actually going to generate more energy from the surroundings, from other people. You're going to actually pull energy through me that might have been stagnant if you didn't pull on me. If you want to even look at it a totally different way, when you're the fullness of yourself and you're not defensive, when you're not going into this protection mode, which is actually what drains us, what exhausts us, is because we get smaller. We're not actually acknowledging the brilliance of us. So we get small in the space of other people. We get small. They don't make us small. We get small and defensive. We disacknowledge, if that's even a word, ourselves, and we don't acknowledge the awareness that the other person is actually acknowledging us, that we have something to give, even if it's just energy, time, attention. And that if we were actually present enough to receive them rather than defend ourselves against them, there is something that will happen. Us staying in ourselves without defense, being in the presence with the eye contact of another person and the heart contact of another person, actually sparks the light within them that allows them to give back to us. Watch what happens when you are that space, without judgment, without defense. When you stay in that space around other people, you don't get smaller. You stay in your joy. You stay in even your question of like, generally when I'm with somebody who's lacking, right, in an area, and I'm aware of that, they can share their story with me. They share it and I'm receiving it. Like I'm receiving it without judgment. And I'm the space of them sharing without judgment. And then all of a sudden things shift in them. But I can still show up as me, like with the questions. Like what else is possible here? Is there a gift here? Like what else are you aware of? And it's amazing how me not telling them how they need to live their life or giving them advice or interjecting with my energetic judgment, they're able to rise into themselves and find their knower, their ability to go, this is the direction that I would like to go with it, or just to be in the space of being received. Isn't it what we're all really looking for? Is for others to actually acknowledge and appreciate the space of us without judgment. So when you go around and either you're doing it or you're around somebody who's protective, defensive, ready for that person who's going to drain them and they're going to stop the flow, what does that attract? And then when you're around that other person who's open, vulnerable, the fullness of themselves. And I mean the fullness, because being the fullness of yourself is not always the radiance. Like if you look back there, the power actually is flowing up through the red, which is deep pain, and the blue, which is a lot of sorrow. It actually flows up and bursts out as the sun. So our power and our vibrancy actually come with the ability to be vulnerable enough to say that we don't have all the answers, that we're just willing to be present. And we are willing to show up with what answers we do have. We're willing to share our excellence as well as to share we've been hurt, we've hurt ourselves, we've hurt others. To say that we're broken and completely full at the same time. And we're willing to use it all. So how are you showing up? Are you perpetuating a belief that actually works for you and or a principle that works for you? Or are you perpetuating one that's taking you out and attracting way more people that are taking you out? When in all actuality, they're not taking you out. You're taking you out, right? So are you willing to change the way that you do things in order to attract totally different things? Now, person B, who is in their fullness, who's vulnerable, they're completely connected to everything that is. And so they just get choice. Like everything's still going to show up. It's not like all of a sudden they only get the conveyor belt that sends great things. They just get to choose. And then the things that they don't desire, pass them by. How many of us have a conveyor belt that's going past and we have a worthiness or deserve issue that says, I'm only going to qualify myself as deserving this. For those people who know me, I hate the word worthy. I hate the word deserve because it's a qualifier that doesn't actually have set rules. It actually disqualifies us more times than anything else. So what if you don't need to qualify? You don't need to deserve. You don't need to be worthy enough. You just get to choose. So as the conveyor belt of life goes by, what are you choosing? Are you constantly choosing the man or the woman who makes you prove that you're worthy enough to be with them? Or are you choosing the man or woman that doesn't make you feel challenged in the fact that you have to challenge yourself to prove your worth? They just love you. That might be the most uncomfortable thing that you ever chose before, is to choose somebody who just loves the space of you and allows you the support to move forward. It sounds like something you would ask for, but when it shows up, if you're used to constantly proving yourself, it's a really uncomfortable choice. And it might even look not enticing. to choose somebody who is just support, who's space, who's love? Or are you the person who chooses to constantly work yourself to the bone for your job in order to make a little bit of money? What if you were the overflow of yourself and people just kept coming? Would that be okay with you? Like, really, would it be okay? Or would you need to start proving that you need to do certain things in order to prove that you're worth all those clients or customers? What is happening in your life is a direct reflection of how, of your belief patterns, of your openness, of your willingness to move beyond it, and what your judgments are. And the coolest thing I can tell you is this, is you don't necessarily have to know how to move into the next space. You just get to ask. You get to ask your body, your awareness, and the universe to show you the next step to take to be even more open to all that's available for you, and to use every energy that comes your direction to choose what works for you and what doesn't. And to choose even the things that have come that you've chosen that maybe weren't the greatest generative energy, to turn it into generative energy. On other videos, I talk about, like, don't put your rose-colored glasses on if you're about to walk on the sidewalk and there's a pile of poop. Don't call it chocolate and pick it up and eat it, right? Like, know that it's poop. And, if there's poop everywhere, like, you could actually choose to use it and, like, create a business where you use it and make fertilizer. But don't put rose-colored glasses on and turn it into something else, or pretend that it's something else. Actually utilize it for what it is. Same thing, if people are showing up in your life, whether you like it or not, who are negative Nellies, what way would you like to show up? How would you like to use them in your life? Do they generate questions to actually bring to your business? Do they generate ideas? Sometimes is it that you need resistance against to, like, write your book? Whatever it is, are you willing to use those things as fertilizer for your life rather than asking them to get out of your life? Because what if they're actually showing up to inspire you so that you can create the life that you desire? Thanks, everybody, for listening. Again, it's Tara McCullum from Beyond This Reality. And so if you want to check me out, it's beyondthisreality.com. And if you have any more questions, you can put them below. And I'd love you to subscribe to my channel so that you get notifications when new videos come up. And if you would like to submit any questions, please do it below or through an email at tara.mccullum@gmail.com. Thanks so much. Bye, you guys.